Hey, I'm Eric Spellmann with ericspellmann.com, and today I'm going to teach you about advertising on your website. I mean, you built a website, maybe you have great content and you want to make some money from it. Maybe you're not selling a service or selling a product, but you just want to sell information. And if you can get enough people coming to your site, maybe you can sell some advertising on that site. So I'm going to tell you all about it and how to get started in it. Basically, the key is to understand banner ads, because basically the banner ad is the way you're going to do the advertising. Do you have traffic? In other words, are people coming to your site? If you've just started a site and no one knows about it, then trust me, you're not going to be able to sell advertising. Advertisers are looking for eyeballs. They want to make sure that if they buy an ad, a banner ad on your site, that there's hundreds, if not thousands of people going to your site on a regular basis that might see the ad, might click on it, might go to their site, might buy something. So the first question you have to ask yourself is, do you have the traffic? And you're saying, well, Eric, I'm working on it. I don't know how. You need to check your web stats. The way you know if you have any traffic on your website is to look at your web stats. And one of my favorite ways to do that is Google Analytics. If your web guy, whoever built your website, hasn't installed some sort of statistical tracking system, you need to ask them about that. And Google Analytics is one of the best. So once you get enough traffic, then you can start selling advertising. Do you have the right audience? I mean, think about it. If you're going to be selling advertising for a specific type of information, then you want to make sure you find advertisers, companies that are complementary to that. Do you have the right audience for them? For instance, if I have a site that talks about dogs, I would not want to sell advertising to a car company. You want to stick with the audience. You want to make sure that you have the audience that they are looking for. Then decide how you're going to be paid. Because believe it or not, with banner ads and with advertising on a website, you can be paid in a variety of ways. Basically, there's three. You can be paid on the impression, the click, or the sale. Now let's talk about those. An impression is simply someone seeing your page, specifically someone seeing the ad, and they're usually sold in blocks of 1,000. A good example. Let's say you do have a site and you're an expert at dogs and you're posting all this information about dogs, and so all these people who love dogs are coming to your site to read your blog. Well, if you want to get paid on the impression, that means you will get paid by the advertiser for, say, every 1,000 times their ad displays on your site, regardless of what they do. And that's an easy way, but it requires traffic. The second way, you can make more money, and it's called pay per click. In other words, the advertiser only pays you if someone actually clicks on their ad and goes to their website. So if you have this dog site, and maybe they sell books about dogs. If someone clicks on their ad going to their page talking about books about dogs, then they will pay you for that click. The final way you can make the most money of all, and this is pay per sale. So for instance, in the same example, if they're selling dog books, and so someone's on your site, they click on the ad, they go to that advertiser's site, and then they buy some books. Then the advertiser might pay you a commission, maybe 10% of the sale. So there's three ways to get paid. Number one, by the impression, how many times their ad is actually seen. Number two, by the click, how many people actually click on the ad and go through to their site. And number three, the sale. Maybe it's a commission on the sale, how many people click, go through, and actually buy something. And they go in increasing orders of what you can make. Impressions can be sold for pennies on the dollar. 1,000 impressions for 25 cents maybe. 1,000 impressions for $1. Clicks, it depends on the cost of the item and what a prospect is worth. Could be $1, could be $50 a click. You just never know until you figure out what's going on in that market and talk to the advertiser. Sales can be astronomical. If what they sell is a $1,000 item and someone actually goes through your site to their site, buys the item, you might make $100 just on that one person going through. The key for banner ads, and whether they work or not, is location, location, location. There's different types of banner ads and where they go. Some banners are across the top. Some are down the side, some are on the bottom, some are embedded in the content. It just depends. Also, you need to understand that there's different types of banner ads. The ones that go down the side, they're very popular. The very tall ones are called skyscrapers. Buttons are more square type of ads, and they can go on the side. And then, of course, there's pop-ups, which are ads that basically show up after a certain thing. Either they show up before someone can go to a website, or they hover over something and it pops up. I'm not a huge fan of pop-ups because a lot of people think they're pretty annoying. So understand the types of banner ads there are. These days, banner ads at the top and skyscrapers down the left and the right tend to do very well. And draw the line. When we're talking about banner ads, you need to draw the line on what's acceptable. Think about your audience. You don't want to sell ad space to an advertiser that might put a banner ad that's inappropriate. You always want to preview their ad before you just let them put it on your site. Make sure you don't scare your audience. If there's kids coming to your site, you got to be extra careful about the type of ads that show up. Next, you got to choose your method. In other words, there's two different ways to sell advertising on your site. First, find your own advertiser. Second, use an ad network, and we're going to talk about both. First, let's talk about find your own advertiser. Realize that if you're going to go out and find someone to advertise on your site, make sure you find someone that is complementary, not competitive to what you do. In other words, if you are a dog groomer, and so you have a dog groomer site, and you're giving expert ideas on dog grooming, you would not want to go and find another dog groomer to advertise on your site. You want to find someone that's complementary. So in your case, you may want to find someone who sells dog grooming supplies or obedience handbooks, something like that. So number one, you have to find someone complementary to what you're doing, but not competitive. Here's a big one. I personally never want to use an advertiser that I haven't checked out their product. In other words, if I'm going to have a specific advertiser on my website, I want to actually go buy their product. I want to see what it's like to work with them. Because think about it. What if you get an advertiser that is just awful? And what if they have a product that is awful? People go to your site, they click on the advertiser, they get this terrible product. Guess who gets blamed? You. So you don't ever want to go after an advertiser if you don't know what their reputation's like or what their product's like. I know a lot of large bloggers and large websites where basically if you want to advertise on their system, you have to send them a product so they can test it and make sure that it's something they really want to advertise. I know a lot of bloggers who say they only allow advertisers for products they actually use. So consider that. Your reputation is tied to that advertiser. What's it worth? I mean, if you're going to go out and look for advertisers, what are you going to charge them? This is the biggest question I get, and it's a tough one to answer. Basically, you have to try to find out what the range is. And one of the best ways to do that is go to a site similar to yours and send a short email on if you were to advertise on their site, what they would charge. And it's a great way to find out kind of what the market is showing. But in some cases, maybe what you do, no one else is doing. And so selling advertising is up to you. And some of the best ways to do it is to simply come up with a rate and see what happens. In other words, throw out a number and give it a try. And they will determine whether it's worth it. And then you can up it and lower it as you need. And I know that's not a scientific answer. I know that's not what you're really looking for. But really, there is no specific guidelines for what you charge for advertising. And remember, a lot of times those rates are based on whether you are giving them impressions, clicks, or commissions on sales. Use an ad network. And this is actually one that I use quite a bit. The reason I like it is because it's so easy. You don't have to go out there and find people to advertise on your site. Basically, you plug in a set of code from this ad network and ads just start showing up there. Now, the way most ad networks work is through pay per click and pay per sale. And the rates are predetermined, though. So that's good and bad. In other words, you don't get to say it's going to cost you X amount per click. They're going to determine that, and you just kind of have to take it. But once again, you didn't have to go out and find these things. The biggest one out there is Google AdSense. I actually use it on my Computer Tips 101 site, and I make a good fair chunk of change with it, I'll be honest. The neat thing about Google AdSense is that the ads that show up for one person are different than what shows up for another, because Google actually kind of knows through your cookies where you've kind of been. So good example. So if you've been searching through looking for a new car to buy, Google kind of knows that. And so the ads that will come up on my site for you will be about cars. I didn't have to do that. Google did that. And that way you're more likely to click on it. And I'm more likely to make a nickel or a dime or a dollar, depending on what the ads are going for on the Google network. So the advantage of an ad network is you have to do no work really. If you have enough traffic coming in, you can plug in some code or have your web guy plug in some code and boom, ads just start appearing. And then as people click, Google drops money in your bank account, and it's no muss, no fuss. It's just very easy. And like I said, that's the one that I use. But remember, you have less control over what you charge on that. Practically no control. So keep that in mind. And Google AdSense, like I said, is the best way to go. And you can find them. You can just Google AdSense, and it'll pull right up, or go to adsense.google.com. Well, as always, if you have questions on any of this, please don't hesitate to give me a call or shoot me an email or visit my website. I'd be happy to help. I have a number of customers who are using Google AdSense and also just selling advertising, and I can kind of explain what they're doing and what's working. I look forward to hearing from you. I'm Eric Spellmann. I'll see you in cyberspace.